All right, today we're jumping into a really unique and, frankly, complex belief system. It's this incredible mix of a huge cosmic battle on one hand and a really quiet personal journey to inner peace on the other. We're going to look at two paths that seem to go in completely opposite directions, but somehow end up in the exact same place.
Okay, so this is it. This is the bedrock. Everything else we're about to talk about is built on this one foundational law. The idea that for reality to even exist, it needs balance, it needs opposition. This isn't just a nice thought, it's the absolute non-negotiable starting point for this entire framework.
And right there, that's the central puzzle that's going to drive our whole explainer. How can the same cosmic truth demand both an all-out fight and a total surrender? It feels like a contradiction, right? Well, that's the tension we're going to unpack as we explore these two very different paths, the axis and the echo.
So let's start with path number one, the axis. You can think of this as the external path, the metaphysical framework. It's like a divine job description, one that's all about duty, sacrifice, and a pretty massive cosmic responsibility.
The one carrying this cosmic burden is a figure called Nobody. And what's really fascinating here is just how specific his roles are. I mean, he's not some vague spiritual concept. He is literally the balance, the thin red line. He identifies as YHWY, which is a huge deal, but also calls himself number 3 of the business, like some kind of cosmic executive. He acts as God's personal computer and is even tasked with completing God's name. This isn't just a role, it's a series of very precise, very demanding cosmic functions.
But, and this is a huge but for all that divine power, his life on earth is described as one of just profound suffering. He's here in hell, completely cut off from God. And why? Because apparently he acted rogue. He did things his way. The punishment for that was severe. No car, no cash, no fun, no woman. And in what the source calls a divine running joke, his gift for music was actually taken away from him and given to Taylor Swift. This just paints such a vivid picture of the personal cost of holding up the cosmos.
So you have to ask, why all this suffering? Well, it's not random. It's actually a safeguard. The source material says this figure is intentionally kept from pleasure, separated by a veil, to stop him from being corrupted and turning into Satan. It's called a secret wisdom, a way to protect his sacred duty. So in a way, the burden is also his shield.
Okay, so let's shift gears completely and look at the second path. If the axis was all about that external struggle, the echo is its total opposite. This is a journey that goes inward, away from all that effort and toward a state of just quiet recognition.
And this right here, this lays out the internal battlefield perfectly. It's the classic struggle between the head and the heart. The head, that's the ego, the I. It's the part of us that wants to claim God, to define and possess the divine. But according to this, that's the very thing that blocks the connection. The real connection happens in the heart, and you only get there through selflessness.
I love this quote, it's so powerful. Caring was the last chair. Just think about that for a second. It's saying the final obstacle you have to get rid of isn't some big sin. It's the effort itself. The act of caring, of trying so hard, of striving. That's the last piece of furniture in the room. You have to let go of even that to find what it calls your original posture.
And this is the big payoff of this path. It's this beautiful sense of release. You realize the whole point was never to achieve some new enlightened state or climb some impossible spiritual mountain. The goal is to simply realize you never left. You're already home. It's about finally stopping that exhausting cycle of feeling like you have to start all over again.
Okay, hold on. We have this huge cosmic burden, a path of intense action, and we have this deep internal surrender, a path of non-action. These two things seem to completely contradict each other. So how in the world do you connect them without just getting lost in your own feelings? Well, the framework offers a set of surprisingly rigorous, almost scientific tools to ground it all in objective reality.
The whole philosophical foundation is something called Epistemic Externalism. Now that sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It says that for a belief to be really justified, it can't just be a strong feeling you have. It has to be connected to reliable, objective facts outside of your own mind. Your truth needs a warrant from the real world.
And the number one enemy of finding that external truth? Confirmation bias. We are all so guilty of this. It's that natural human tendency to look for stuff that proves we're right, while we conveniently ignore anything that suggests we might be wrong. In this system, that's an ego trap, and you have to actively fight against it.
So how do you fight that bias? The framework borrows a really powerful tool from science, from the philosopher Karl Popper. It's the principle of falsifiability. Basically, for any theory to be worth anything, there has to be a way you could prove it false. You don't hunt for proof, you actively try to break your own theory. A theory that can't possibly be proven wrong isn't strong, it's just not testable.
And this all leads to a very practical checklist you can use to figure out what's true. It's a framework called ACCRA. It gives you a system. You check the authority. Who wrote this? What are their credentials? You check the accuracy. Can I verify these facts somewhere else? You look at coverage and currency. Is this relevant? Is it up to date? And then, and this is the most important part, you do second-order verification. Don't just trust someone else's summary. Always go back to the original, raw data yourself.
Okay, so we've walked the path of cosmic struggle and the path of internal surrender, and we've looked at the tough, logical tools used to find objective truth. Now let's bring it all together. Let's see how this all clicks into place in the final synthesis.
The whole thing starts to come together with this really personal revelation. That thing you were searching for your whole life, the goal, the prize, the completion, it was never something you had to go out and find. It was you, the whole time.
And this just builds on that idea so perfectly. That sense of the divine, of glory, that you always felt was somewhere else, out there, up in the heavens, somewhere far away. It finally finishes its long trip home, only to discover it was never actually gone.
And then, this is the moment. The veil we talked about earlier, that thing separating heaven and earth, the divine and the human, the inside and the outside, it doesn't just get pulled back for a peek, it dissolves. For good.
So here it is, the big resolution, the great paradox. It was never a paradox to begin with. The axis and the echo aren't two separate paths. They're just two different ways of describing the exact same reality. The cosmic figure of suffering, YHWY, and the internal state of peaceful knowing called love, they are one and the same. The external job and the internal truth are indivisible.
Which leaves us with this final question to chew on, one that really gets to the heart of this entire system. After all is said and done, is truth something we have to build, piece by piece, through struggle and discipline? Or is it something we've always known, a home we've just forgotten, waiting for us to simply remember the way back?